Hello, class. This is a webinar, right? Good day to everyone. My topic for this webinar is challenging managerial leadership in hospitality industry. No? And this is your speaker for today, Professor Rodel Mendoza. Okay. So my objectives for this presentation is for the hospitality industry is to have a working knowledge of leadership in a different hospitality industry, no? Especially in their managerial position, and also understand why there is a need for organizational leadership and discuss the managerial leadership patterns or dimensions, and understand also the determinants of managerial leadership and discuss how managers operate in different organizational environments. Okay, so this one I mentioned already. No? So the growing complexity in the corporate world requires more executives, especially in hospitality. Now we have a different position in hospitality industry with managerial capabilities and talents to increase the production and develop better services. So yung mga modern business are looking for high caliber executives due to the complexity and magnitude of the tasks that dictate involvement of more men in the accomplishment of the corporate goals. So managers are indispensable factor in the organizing, coordinating, directing, and controlling the factors of production, especially the human resources. So managers who wish to be successful in their career in the executive positions must realize that their managerial leadership is the key in handling people. And the challenge is for the managers is to provide the right amount and the type of leadership styles that will cultivate and develop individual cooperation in the achievement of organizational goals. So people in the organization are shaped like clay and passion according to the pressure exerted by the manager. So the making of effective employees is the greatest responsibility of the leader in his department. But there are very few endeavors in the present economic system that can be accomplished by a single person. And if there are, it is only in a very limited scope. There are various definitions of leadership. Many theories and people in the management field define it according to their practices and beliefs. So leadership in practice is the art of making people follow you. It is the process also of influencing people to set and achieve the goals of the organization. It refers to the behavior displayed by the leader in getting things done. So such leadership behavior could be positive or negative on the employees concerned. Now, managers have many conceptions between management and leadership, as both are used interchangeably. Management is more of the science of planning, organizing, directing, and controlling the activities of the organization. While leadership is the art of making people follow you in the achievement of organization objectives. It is also the setting, the administrative machinery of organized efforts using the process. So management is focused on the four processes class. So while leadership is the mechanism by which people functions according to the art and style performed by the manager. So leaders must have mastered the rudiments of management and must adjust their behaviors and values according to the needs and problems of the organization, no, using their knowledge of human relations and intricate social elements, no, of role behavior, um, to combine, no, the human and material resources, no, to achieve the desired objectives. So we have maybe a definition that may be of interest, no, to the beginning managers, no, like number one, no, a leadership is the ability to lead effectively and is the important key, no, to effective management. This is specifically focused on goal achievement regardless of leadership style. We also have the leadership, no, which is the art and process of influencing people so that they are willing to move towards, the achievement of group goals. So managers of this type, practice goal setting with members of the organization. Next, leadership is also the process, of influencing the activities of the members of the group, in performing their tasks of goal setting and goal achievement. So it depends on the ability to obtain followers' influence. No? Next po, leadership is the art of making people follow you without you telling them directly of what you want them to do. So this could be achieved by the leader when he becomes the master of leadership functions. So class, management, and leadership are not synonymous as we have pointed out in the earlier discussing of this particular topic. No, managers may or may not be effective, in influencing subordinates toward goals accomplishment. So they may achieve the goals, but they may fail to deliver the desired total performance, as they fail to motivate, the people under them. So the need for organizational leadership, no? So we have effective management, is more concerned on the wise utilization of the material resources of the organization. So these resources could easily be available, with financial resources at the disposal of the organization. So the determinant of organizational success is dependent, on the degree of the managerial leadership exercised, by the executive concerned, who handles the wheels, towards the attainment of its goals and objectives. So the objectives class of all organization is towards the profitability of the enterprise. So while the measure of its success is greatly dependent on the caliber of the leaders of the organization. So um, the quality, of the material input could easily be determined. But the quality of human output is more difficult to achieve if the quality of managerial leadership is of low caliber. Now, so the delivery of the organizational task becomes more interesting and satisfying when the obstacle to progress are overcome, with the implementation of quality managerial leadership. So whatever is the nature of the goals which the group had set for itself, so managerial leadership is always necessary, for its effective implementation. So managerial leadership will generate greater achievement, while poor and uninspired manager is to spell the beans of failure. So the prevailing condition in the industry is always uncertain. So the business environment suffers turbulent weather in the pursuits of its organizational goals. So the radar in determining the environmental conditions must always be focused in the turbulent scenario. So advanced planning should be ready to flood the business environment, with necessary resources, and remedy to correct the imbalance. So this could only be done by managers with the highest degree of knowledge and capability to do the task of leadership. So qualities for managerial leadership class. A good manager has a sincere, liking for people, and he knows how to deal with them. and get them to work cooperatively, no, toward his objectives and goals. So he has the technical, human, and conceptual skills, and the courage to act decisively, no, on their assigned tasks and responsibilities. So maybe they are required of the qualities of the managerial positions that most industries and organizations are looking for, like yung understanding of the people, no, under them, no, and the methods of dealing with them. So it also refers to the thorough knowledge, no, where he stands and what he would like to accomplish. Next, managerial competence and decisiveness, plus these refer to his ability, no, to analyze the environmental conditions and arrive at their causes, no, through the use of the SWOT method. So he makes decision based on his scientific findings and get people working towards the design direction. So number 3, skill in communication, no, and the ability to win group cooperation. So this refers to his ability, no, to choose the right words, no, to inspire and motivate people, as he understands, no, that he can do much, no, without the people around him. So yung mga effective managerial communication class should cascade, no, down the levels of the subordinates understanding. And while managers, no, may not have all the requirements for effective leadership, it is also assumed, no, that he has to be good in the executive position. So they have to improve themselves, no, to be in the position of respect and admiration. So approaches class to managerial leadership. So we must be totally aware, no, that leadership is not an institution by itself nor operate in vacuum. So it is a dynamic system of social interactions, no, where group and situations vary, no, according at different industries and organizations, particularly sa hospitality, no. So while we have now thorough characteristics and qualities of leaders, no, we cannot fit them into one single structure. Okay. So the traits, no, and characteristics are highly personal. So leaders have different different levels of education, no, training, no, and saka yung mga experiences nila, no, and this account to so much, no, in the practice of their managerial functions. So it is best also for us, no, to realize our strengths and weaknesses, no, as our leaders for our people, so that we can adjust, no, accordingly. So in view of the selection of leaders, no, should consider suitably, no, of the man or the function he is, not to perform. It is must be based on a given situations, no, and the kind of environment, no, where he will operate. So the responsibility, no, for managerial leadership must not remain in the same person if there's a change, no, in environmental situation. I want you to consider, no, the following situations in the exercise of managerial leadership. Number 1, we have the desire of the people in the group. Number 2, we have the level of management expectation of accomplishment. Number 3, the level of satisfaction and challenges for the position. Number 4, the level of respect needed in the performance of the task. And number 5, the level of aspiration and the desired life direction. So managerial leadership pattern class. So our organization in the Philippine setting, no, is a product of many cultures and traditions, no, that interplay in the management practice of managers. So our orientation as a nation is autocratic in nature. So while our training and educational background is democratic in character, our Filipino values greatly affect, no, managerial patterns of behavior, as they have to adjust to these cultural values like yung utang na loob, yung pakikisama, ningas kugon, no, manyana habit, and many others. So the background of our employee is still autocratic in nature, while our organization plays the tune of a little, no, of democracy. So at home, the children have little choices, no, have little choices of what to do, as a mother and father knows best, diba? So they are not even trained, no, to choose the things they want to buy, no, like our papa and mama, no, choose what is good for them. So this home environment contributes to the making of a confused employee in the organization. So a manager in the Philippine setting has the same orientation as well. So their patterns of managerial leadership is still based on what he knows best. That I know better and my decisions shall prevail. So many are still hungry of power, not to command and get respect as they are the boss. So another factor class that fails us to swing to participative management system is that we are trained more of our rights in a democratic system, but fails to emphasize responsibility as the very important component of the working system in the organized structure. Our right carries with it an equal amount of responsibilities and obligations. We still have many theory, like employees in the organization, and we still have to develop more employees toward the theory, behavior, if we have to change managerial pattern of leadership. Nevertheless, there's also a changing pattern of managerial leadership due to advanced training and education. So this changing pattern of new behavior class is still inadequate, as most of our institution of learning are still seemingly autocratic in character. So very few professors in the academe are democratic and participative in dealing with their students. So our instructional methods focus on memorization and the usual paper and pencil test. All these need refocusing our attention to a better educational leadership. So fortunately, class, the future managers of this country, like you, are beginning to widen their horizon towards effective leadership. So they attend various training programs, both formally and informally. Those who would like to advance in their career are taking advanced course in management, and these are good signs that we can gradually develop a new pattern of managerial leadership. So organizations class are conducting training programs in new approaches in managing people. So this development will greatly advance the making of the new breed of managers. So this new development in the organizational landscape class created a new horizon in the pattern of managerial leadership. So generally, management had viewed this pattern in three dimensions, like autocratic pattern. Ano ibig sabihin ng autocratic pattern? So this managerial leadership class is more appropriate for people who are of the theory X type, of behavior, as they need a strong manager to make commands. They need also to be dictated on what to do and do it properly according to his plans and directions. So under this pattern class, the following are evident. The organizational policies, plans, and programs are determined entirely by the manager. Pwede rin yung the leader dictates the short-term programs and future developments are kept uncertain. Next, pwede rin siyang techniques and sequences of activities are crafted by the manager. We can also say that managers make assignments and appoint people of their choice in confidence. We can also say that human relation is personal, or he praises good work and at times, but more of criticizing when work fails to meet a standard. So he does not participate in group activities except when demonstrating. He is output-oriented and less on human factor also. Next, democratic pattern class. Ito naman yung managerial pattern of leadership na effectively work with people who have the theory-wide tendencies of behavior. So this type of employees have concern for work and take responsibility with pride. So managers with democratic pattern of management will enjoy working with these people if they get their cooperation towards the objectives which they plan together. So the work class of the manager under these patterns are characterized as encourages subordinates to participate in making policies and decisions. He also mobilizes the human interaction in arriving at programs and projects. So the group also considers various alternative courses of action, no, before making decisions. Manager presides the discussions also and encourage group efforts. Ito rin nagbibigay ng freedom class, no, in selecting group or team members. So he recognizes also the talents and capabilities of the members of the team. Pwede rin siyang magkaroon ng participation in group activities, no, and works with the members of the team, no, in and outside the work environment. He's also a human oriented and outgoing din siya, no. So aside from that class, nagbibigay din siya, it gives more encouraging praises, no. And comments, no, doon sa mga ano niya, subordinates niya. He gives recognition, to good works and benevolent with praises, no, that inspire motivation. Laissez-faire leadership. Ano pong ibig sabihin ng laissez-faire leadership, no? Talking about laissez-faire, this pattern of leadership now will work in a group of individuals now whose patterns of behavior is toward the theory Z. So these refer to the development of totally committed workforce where supervision of manager is at minimum level. So employees had developed attitudes and values that focus on group efforts, and this could be the age of the vertical organization. Ang sinabi nating leadership practices nito, ito yung mga pattern like yung manager gives complete freedom for group and individuals, no, to make decisions after setting organizational direction. Pwede rin yung mga materials and information in the production of goods and services are made available, no? So managers are consulted when necessary. So yung mga work assignment niya class are spelled out in manuals and specifications. So managers are consulted only when necessary. Yung mga manager practices are walking about style of management, where comments are made only when called for, and managers, no, are generous with material rewards. So ito yung mga managerial practices class and behavior patterns are not totally concentrated to one area of dimensions. Usually, managership is style, no, according to the needs of the organization and environmental setting of individual behavior. So the management and employees' job freedom. Now, in the practice of management class, the total working environment, no, and the employee cultural orientation play a significant role in the managerial pattern of leadership. No? So the manager's behavior in the management is a continuum of autocratic, democratic, and participative and laissez-faire style as presented by various authors. So yung mga range of behavior ng class would encompass from leadership behavior, no, involving the greatest use of authority by the managers, no, to the behavior where subordinates exercise the widest possible participation. Excuse me. So number one yung class, no, the manager makes decision and announces it. Ito yung mga manager that give his subordinate very little opportunity, no, participation in making decisions. So the manager defines the problem and announces, no, the course of action. To be followed, no, according to his personal view, no. He also wants effective implementation daw, no, effective implementation, no, according to his standard of performance. Next, the manager tries to combine the group about his decision. So anong ibig sabihin nito, no? Ito yung mga ano na the manager na nagsisell ng decision to the group, no, and let them agree to his plans and programs. So there is a little deviation, no, from this, no, but the manager still maintains at the top decision-making process. So when the manager senses some disagreement, no, to his plan of action, he takes steps, no, toward persuasion, no, but he still exercises the power of authority of this position. So the manager also presents ideas and invites questions. There is also a great change in the manager's tone. So here, And the manager allows the staff and the opportunity to present their views about the problem. He also analyzes the views carefully and allow discussion to dominate, and decision arrived by the group is still a prerogative not to accept or implement. Number 4, no, the manager presents a tentative decision for the group to consider. It's also the beginning of the change class, no, in the style toward participative management. So the manager still holds commands of the discussion, no, but the group is encouraged to make decision. So the decision of the group may have influence, no, of the manager, but final action is still at his hand. Next, number 5, the manager present the problem and seek suggestion and then makes final decision. So in pattern 1 to 4 na sinabi ko kanina, no, the manager holds the decision-making process and implements what he thinks is right at the situation. No? So in this pattern of managerial leadership, the manager begins to get a view of the group before making decision based on the group perceptions. He also present, no, the problem to the group, no, and lets them make careful study. He also uses the subordinate intellectual faculty, no, to solve problems, as he acknowledged, no, that the staff may have better solutions. So after evaluating the course of action and that of his own, he makes the final decision and announces it to the group. Next po, the manager presents the problem and allows the group to make decision within limits. So along this managerial pattern of leadership, so the manager began to delegate, no, some his responsibilities to the group, and he defines the limit of decision making on defined problems. So he set budgets and lets the group operate, no, within the parameter of their given authority. He also creates a working committee, no, to study some problems and seek some advice on important matters, no, that concerns the group. He also conducts meeting and asks group opinions on important matters that affect the organizational unit. So the group defines the problem class and makes the decision within the prescribed limit. Ito yung mga managerial decision that making is made, no, in advance, no, by instituting policies and procedures, no, that limits the decision making authority, no, of subordinate employees. So these policies and procedures are specified in a manual of instructions, operation manuals, so personal policies and programs, and other instructions. So in some very important matters, the manager consults the group and seek their opinions. No? In the revision of manual, he can also create study groups and revise policy statement, no, that become obsolete or not necessarily operational. So there is a greater latitude, no, in the employee participation, and this create good motivational pattern for increased productivity and job satisfaction. So what is a determinant class of managerial leadership? So to prescribe a leadership style, no, to follow is like prescribing a medicine to a patient. Now we need a laboratory tests and other summative findings, now before prescribing the most effective medicine that will cure the illness, of course. Now in the same vein, we need to see the situations, now prevailing in the organization, culture and traditions, and the situations of the work environment. So both internal and external. So the manager himself has to be aware of what is happening in the organization, and he must be observant of the condition of the employees under the charge and the situation they are in. So there are forces that determine the managerial style that has to be implemented. So the managerial orientation, no? Ito yung ano, no, the manager himself knows what he wants. So he knows his tendencies and preferences also, and he knows his own behavior and characteristics. So he can define his own personality and trait as a person. Next, the behavioral pattern subordinates. Yung Theory X behavior pattern class. Ito yung average human beings have an inherent dislike for work, no, and will avoid if it's possible. Because of their dislike for work, most people must be corrected, controlled, dictated on what to do. No? and they must be threatened with punishment, no, to get them to put forth adequate effort, no, towards the achievement of organizational objectives. And also, yung mga Theory X, they have little ambition but want job security above all. They avoid responsibility and wishes that he shall not be given more tasks to do. No? Ay yung mga Theory X. Pag Theory Y naman, sila yung mga employees under this pattern na believe that expenditure of physical and mental efforts in work is natural as play or rest. No? So, workers will exercise self-direction, no, and self-control in the service of attaining goals and objectives. And also, they believe that rewards are associated with individual achievements and contribution to the group goals, no? Pwede rin siyang yung average human beings learn under proper condition, no? They seek responsibility to grow and develop as responsible person. They can also exercise a high degree of imagination, no? Ingenuity, and creativity in the solution of organizational problems. Yan. Next, working environment. Ito yung third element class na nagde-determine the managerial leadership style, no? In the hospitality industry itself, it refers to the total work in the organization, no? And the environmental setting where the manager operates. So it pertains to job structure, no? The amount of technology in the transformation of goods and services, and the influence of the top management in decision making. So the directive approach is called for in the highly structured jobs, no, and where operation is highly automated. So employees are already provided work directions through operation manuals, and also manager influence become limited. So when jobs need individual creativity, no, and the work performance is based on team efforts, the participative style of management is called for. Okay. Thank you for listening, class. I won't be giving you activity. No? You may have an open forum, question and answer, no, after this one. Thank you so much for listening. Bye and God bless everyone.